What's even your story, but like leading up to, before the organization even exists, like what led you to it?
I'll never forget, I walked in there and they gave me this little tour. They were trying to get me over there, and all these kids were in gym class just dunking, tearing the rim off.
But there was one kid in particular, I think he was 4 or 5 at the time, but he was off the walls.
One of the things I disagree most with the school system now is I'm a firm believer if you teach in that school, you should be able to access kids' grades.
Cool. Do you have many programs, I guess, this
Summer
is
camp
primarily
starts
during
in
the summer, right?
Summer camp starts. So hoops and homework finished last Thursday, and summer camp starts in 2 weeks. So one unique thing is we're the last, Metro United Way told me this, that we're the last 100% free summer camp left in Louisville.
Wow.
That wasn't intentional, but
Last
here
man
we
standing.
are. Yeah, there you go. So,
Do you guys partner with Metro United Way?
Yeah, I mean they donate sometimes,
Yeah.
When they feel
Yeah.
they feel. But yeah, I do. I have very few. I would rather be rating Metro United Way. I got about 4 or 5 community partners. It's all people that kind of we help each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We help each other. I think we were the most kids of any site for I would rather be reading last year.
Oh, wow.
So in return, I'm getting a free tutoring program.
Yeah.
For our kids. So it makes sense. You know?
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's even your story, but like leading up to, before the organization even exists, like what led you to it?
Born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, Fern Creek area.
Okay.
And I thought, sports was always a passion of mine. It always was, but at the same time, my athletic career peaked in about 8th grade.
Same. B team basketball championship, core memories.
Yes, core memories. It got rough shortly thereafter. So I didn't grow anymore. But with that being said, I always anticipated sports being a part of my life. So graduated high school. I went to UK for a year, had a little too much fun, came back, and my cousin was coaching into sales basketball. And he was like, I think this would be good for you. And he hired me as a JV coach. I had no business in that position, but, family won out, and I got it. And so anyway, what that led me doing was I was coaching, and shortly thereafter, I'm going to school at U of L, and I needed money. So, I started substitute teaching. And all of a sudden, I realized, little things you don't think about. I was a social studies major. Mm-hmm. I liked social studies, but when you take that many hours of it, you better love it.
Yeah.
And so real quickly, I was like, man, PE and health makes the same as social studies. Let me slide on over here to what I really like. But ultimately, I was very content with being a teacher and a coach for the rest of my life. And I was at sales for 2 years. Went to a regional championship game, very good teams, probably some of their best teams in school history. And I had a former coach of mine that was now at Fern Creek, which is my alma mater. He reached out. He said, man, come back and coach. I'll never forget, I walked in there and they gave me this little tour. They were trying to get me over there. And all these kids were in gym class just dunking, tearing the rim off. And I'm I'm foaming. They play here, and they're like, man, some of these kids are not even on grade level. They're in a 10th grade homeroom, and they're supposed to be in 12th grade. That was my first, awakening to, how far we are behind. And regardless, I went there, and it was my first thing, because I think even though I went to school there, when you're in it, you don't realize that this person is in a world of trouble 2 months after graduation. You don't think about it like that. So
you just see them in the same environment that you're in every day.
Yeah. And you're like, they're going to turn it around, right? So anyway, I started looking, and I'm like, man, these kids are getting these college letters. Not big schools, not Kentucky, Duke, whatever, but good schools. And they can't even think about getting into them. I'll never forget, we had a kid that was good enough to play at Cincinnati. And at the time, the jokes were anybody could play at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
This and that. Yeah. This kid couldn't have gotten in. There's no way.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it was my first wake-up call to, Dad, you got this whole generation of kids that are good enough to play college sports, but they can't. And they can't pass this test, and they can't GPA, and it kind of blew my mind. So, I had that in the back of my mind, and then I graduate, I get my first teaching job. It's at Meyers Middle School.
Okay.
And Meyers Middle School is a school off Hikes Lane. You would never thought it was that bad of an environment, but I remember when I went in to interview, they were like, we haven't had PE in 8 years. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, what school don't have PE? Like, middle school, you need that energy, but, you need to run it off.
Absolutely.
And so I'm thinking, what's going on? And then my first day, I came in at the semester. So I came in at January, which is tough anyway,
Yeah.
And I walked in there, and they were like, good luck. All the other teachers said, man, like, why is everybody telling me good luck? And so what I came to find out was this school was a decent school at one point. And then they opened up Ramsey Middle School off Billtown Road, and all the people in Hikes Lane that cared about their kids' education would fill out paperwork to go out there. And so now what you had was they had to fill up this building, and they did that by bringing in 7 West End buses. And apparently two of these neighborhoods Meyers had had for years, but in order to fill the building, they ended up bringing in rival neighborhoods. And it was a literal war zone. It was bad. Like, the state shut it down after 5 years. I had to unlearn everything I learned in the education department at UL just to survive. However, we had some amazing mentors in that building. We had a lot of people in their 20s, first teaching job, that was willing to save these kids. So these kids would come to us, and they were fighting and stealing and doing everything they shouldn't be doing. And by the time we got them to 8th grade, we had them on the right path. They were playing sports. They were involved. Some were involved in youth groups, church stuff, everything. And then I would hear these stories 2 years later that same kid that we got on the right path was involved in a shooting, or they were incarcerated. And what would happen was, that they would go to J-Town or Seneca or wherever, and all of a sudden there's 2,000 kids. And it's not Meyers where you got 15 kids and you got a Coach West looking after you. And sports would be taken away, oftentimes because of grades or behavior. I always tell people they'd go play freshman football, and then they'd try to play freshman basketball, and what would happen is they'd be like, you have all U's. And that was the first time it got took away. And then their desire to go to school was based off of sports. And once that was taken away, they'd drop out, and they were out here. So I had kind of these two things in my mind with Fern Creek, with these kids not getting eligible to play in college, and then these other kids that I was seeing, life spiraled out of control at a very young age. And it just let me know, like, I need to do something. Like, one way or another, I need to do something. And sports can be the tool. We can use this to get these kids to be better students, to go to school, to improve behavior. So the first thing I did was I started an Unsigned Senior Showcase. And I would bring in all these junior colleges, because these kids couldn't get into regular colleges. I bring in these junior colleges from across the country all year long. I'm sending film out like, hey, come to this event. One day, all these kids are going to play in front of you. And if you like them, offer them a scholarship, right? And I had no idea, like, what a gold mine we were sitting on. We had so much talent here, but the school system's bad. And so anyway, that first year we got like 13 kids scholarships.
That's awesome.
And it continued to grow and grow and grow. But in the back of my mind the whole time, I was like, why are these 17 and 18-year-olds in this bad of a spot? Why are they reading at a 5th grade level? Why do they got a 1.5 or a 13 on the ACT? So that's where it started to come to me, like, we need to catch them sooner. We need to catch them earlier, and we can use sports as that tool. So, yeah, so that's kind of like the start of the whole thing, and was Delta. But really, I just, some of these kids weren't bad kids. Like, they were really, really good kids. But you can imagine what happens when the only thing you care about is taken away from you. And so, I kind of had to do something. And so that's.
And sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So if your whole environment is spiraled out of control all the time, except for the few hours you're in school each day,
we used to have the ability to look up these kids on Infinite Campus. It's one of the things I disagree most with the school system now, Because I'm a firm believer, if you teach in that school, you should be able to access kids' grades. I might have been your 7th grade teacher, but now that he's in 8th grade, he listens to me the most. I need to know if he's failing, you know? And what would happen was, like, we would get in there and we'd be like, so-and-so ain't been to school in 7 days. Like, we'd check on him, you know? It was that type of environment. But at the same time, like, I was looking at this and I found out little things, like 7 kids in the same household, and I didn't even know they were related. And I'm seeing all the same address, and I'm like, okay, they're cousins, something.
Yeah.
But regardless, I'm like, how big is this house?
Yeah.
You pull it up on Google Maps, and you're
It's
like,
not that big.
oh my gosh, you're all here. And like little stuff that, you know, I didn't know what they were facing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Well, she used to do a little bit of inner city ministry with her church.
I did back in the day.
We're at
Shelby Park.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
so it's crazy. I was thinking it's been about a decade now.
Yeah.
Which that in itself is like, what?
yeah.
But honestly, I look back on that very fondly. It was very difficult because especially, which I wanted to kind of ask you about, was like building that trust in that community, especially not even just with the kids, but with their families.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like that was more difficult. I felt like was trying to gain the trust of the parents than like the children, than the
Very
kids.
much so.
And it's funny because I think about him often. I wonder where he is now. But there was one kid in particular that like I think he was like 4 or 5 at the time. But he was off the walls, and like most people they could not get him because the program I worked with him was a tutoring program. And they just couldn't get him to even just sit and like do anything.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we like matched in energy, you know. And he was like they would always put us together. But it was just once you get to know them and then you meet their parents and things, you do unfortunately kind of understand sometimes. Like, okay, I think I get what's going on, but it's just hard to build that
And I
trust.
feel like people come in once and think that bond's going to be there.
Yes.
And you got to invest time.
Yes, you got.
in
I
order
spent
to get
that whole school year.
Yeah.
Yes, with him.
I'm a hard, like I hear this, and I witnessed it because they come to Delta too, but like this whole thing with elementary school kids now being out of control. They're still kids. Like,
Yes.
They're still kids. And here's the difference. I feel like when we grew up, even if we didn't feel like our teacher cared, there was at least some respect there. Like, this is my teacher.
Yeah.
And now you really got to earn that. Like, you do. But once you have it, you have it. And they're yours. And that's the best part about Delta is, you know, I think last year we had like an 88% retention rate. 88% of the kids that were eligible to come back came back.
Nice.
And I think it speaks volume to what we do. And also we saw 50-something kids, 57, I believe, over 150 days. So they were with us almost as much as they were at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
fantastic.
just that buy-in, that like once I build this trust, you know, then I can listen. And I understand that teachers can't do that when you have like 30 in the
kids.
classroom, you know. But at the same time, like what you're saying, like with mentoring and things like that, like all these kids are reachable. It's just a matter of, you know, how much you want to invest. We started doing something with volunteers where rather than you coming in and we say, hey, go help so-and-so with their homework, we partner them with the kid, almost like Big Brother, Big Sister Foundation. You know, like this is, when you're going to come here, you're going to work with her.
Yeah.
You know, every single day. One thing we notice, one that keeps the volunteer coming back because they feel like I'm really being utilized, you know.
That, and they probably think like for the kids that maybe they like, or they're like, oh, they'll know. Like,
Yeah.
I just
I'm
up and left.
responsible for them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's been a little thing that we've done recently. But yeah, it is. It's a valuable experience. You know, it's almost one of them things that you wish like every student teacher would have to do 3 months at a community center, you know, and just see what it is, you know.
Yes. So I guess we should put it out. What exactly is the mission of Delta Foundation?
So Delta, developing educated leaders through athletics. And, we utilize sports. Nobody touches the court before they touch the classroom. And our main thing is we want to utilize sports to make you a better student, a better person, improve attendance, improve behavior. And it's changed a lot. Like when I first started doing this, the audience was athletes. And something funny happened when COVID hit. I was kind of we had just got our place, our campus. And one of my investors, he had to pull out because he was laying people off due to COVID-related things. And so anyway, I sat there, I was like, man, I need to figure out something. And literally, I'm looking at this thing like I'm done. Like, before it gets started, really, I'm finished. And I'll never forget when Bashir was like, hey, you can own this 5 o'clock meeting, remember? And he said, you can have 10 kids within so many feet. And I pulled out a blueprint. I'm like, man, that means like 25 kids. Our venue's pretty big. And so everybody said, what are you going to do with the after school program? But all I kept hearing was people complaining about West End kids not getting on their NTI, not getting on their online school. So I said, no, I think we need to have school here. And so when we did that, and then it grew and restrictions lessened, and we went from 20, I thought this was going to be like a few months. Next thing I know, it's a year and a half. And I got 150 kids in masks, and they're spread out in desks. There was no basketballs.
Yeah.
Some of these kids that went to decent schools had to log in every class, And so anyway, what that kind of led to like, you no longer got to care about sports to be a part of this. Some of our kids, I felt like we were impacting the most. They could care less about basketball. So that's where we began to add art, and we began to add other things. Like, this is a safe place. Yeah, sports is always going to be a part of it. But that's where the real switch to becoming a sports mentorship program and academic mentorship program happened. People all the time ask me, you're going to change it? Because there's kids that walk in here and never touch a basketball, And I'm like, I'm not. I love our logo, and I love what we do. And I feel like we've answered all questions. The funders, they know we're academic first.
Yeah.
But, ultimately, it was one of them things where we started realizing we were going to lose kids if we didn't find a way to offer other things, So that's Delta, developing educated leaders through athletics. We're 100% free after school program and summer camp. We're independent. We aren't funded by like a bigger nonprofit. It's us. We average about 65 kids a day summer camp. We average around 50, 55 for after school program. That's done intentionally. Like we never go above 8-1 student to staff. A lot of that is the classroom aspect. We know our kids' grades. We know what reading level they're on. If they get in a fight that day at school, that school's already called us. We are very intimate, and we're unique. We're unique in a variety of ways. One, I never expected to have a campus. We can get into that in a minute. But, at the same time, like, we've never, I'm not benefiting, we're not benefiting big time off this being free. I honestly thought we would get a lot more funding, being that we're one of the last free. It hasn't happened that way. But I also haven't gotten many federal grants ever. So, that hasn't affected us.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things where I had a mom reach out the other day, and she was like, look, I try to sign my kids up, and every time it's full. And we got our email database, and by the time we put out summer camp, it fills up in a day. And then they got families they share and everything. And we've kind of had this niche down there, and I'm not sure it's meant to be at 4 different parts of the city and 400 kids. I honestly think it would lose some of the genuineness. So.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And so, remind me, where is your campus?
So the Delta Center is at 2508 Portland Avenue.
Okay,
it's the old Portland Christian School.
Gotcha.
We rented there from 2019 to 2023. And Portland Christian was my original landlord, and they ended up selling it to a guy named Gil Holland, who was a developer in the area, He's kind of most known for developing Lulu.
Right. I thought that name sounded familiar.
And everything. And he kind of thought he was going to do the same in Portland, and those people, they don't want to be gentrified.
Yeah.
So they're very proud. So anyway, with that being said, you know, he came to me early on, and his idea of, I got Delta in the back, which looks like a gym, kitchen, 4 classrooms. Mm-hmm. In the rest of the school building, I'm going to turn it into like brunch spots and art galleries. And the whole time I'm like, people coming to Portland to sip mimosas and buy paintings? Like, I don't know. And sure enough, it didn't take. And he said, man, do you got an idea? And I was like, well, Delta's a testament to, as a nonprofit, once you get brick and mortar around you, funding goes up. You know, people know their programs are going to be at this spot at this time every week. You know, it's amazing how many great nonprofits go school to school or church to church. Mm-hmm. And all it takes is a new pastor, a new principal, and you're out. You know, they don't know you. So with that being said, he ended up kind of taking on a couple nonprofits that I recommended, and then it just wasn't sustainable. So I got a phone call that he was going to sell it to a hair school. And he was like, look, it was like Mitchell's Hair. It's one of the bigger hair schools, off Fern Valley. And he was like, look, he said, Delta can be in the back, hair school in the front. I don't think they want anything to do with your area. Yeah. I couldn't get nobody on the phone. Like, I couldn't get the lady that owned it on the phone, nothing. And I started feeling real uneasy. And I had somebody that I look at as a mentor tell me, hey, like, I think you already know this, but let me go ahead and tell you it. Like, you're about to lose your whole thing. Like, where are these kids going to go if you don't find a way? And, you know, God bless his soul, I convinced Gil to give me a year to raise the money. It was a brutal process. Yeah. Like, I think, like, people don't realize, like, sometimes, like, with fundraising and things, like, when you're fundraising with something like that, like, a magazine sale's not going to get that done. Like, you got to find people that are giving 6 figures, you know, and it was a struggle because we only have so many people in Louisville that have that kind of money. That have that type of wealth.
And it's the same, like, list of people that are getting called by every single nonprofit.
Everybody. I tell people all the time, Jay Graham Brown had a training. It's like 2 years ago. No, it's probably 3 now, because right before we go out the building. And they were like, they put all these numbers up, and they put Nashville was like 170 nonprofits, but like it was like 1,000 foundations. Indy, same way. Cincy, same way. Louisville was like 1,700 nonprofits and like 17 foundations, and we're all fighting for
the same
pool.
And like, it just really lets you know like what the struggle was. But with that being said, you know, I had a couple amazing things happen. So I raised a little bit of money. I had a deadline. I had about 10 months to raise the money. And I was tired of having lunch with people I didn't want to have lunch with. And I was burnt out.
I'm sure you were tired of telling the story 1,000 times too.
And so anyway, I got turned down by Jay Graham Brown. And their thing was you hadn't raised enough money to even be considered yet. And so anyway, I ended up getting a few. President Jim Ramsey from U of L gave, and a couple other people, and I got it to like $200,000. I needed to raise $850 to make it feasible to buy this building. I mean, it's a huge building. And so anyway, I got to like $2,000, and I'll never forget, like, I get a call, and Gil's like, hey, he's this guy selling the building. And he's like, hey, I'm at a derby party, and Mason Rommel said to give her a call. And she's the director of J. Graham Brown Foundation. And he said that she had walked up to him and said, hey, you know, we turned Wes down. I'm sorry. He only had $50K raised. And Gil was like, well, he's got 200 now. And so she said, have him call me.
That's awesome.
And I ended up getting the opportunity to kind of tell my story. And they ended up donating like $250, but you never know who you're talking to. You never know who is on somebody's board. Yeah. And one of the people that heard my story that day was Junior Bridgeman. And Junior Bridgeman, God rest his soul, Junior, I got a call. So I give my little speech, and J. Graham Brown's like, $250. We're going to give you $250. And then I'm like $250 short at this point. And I still don't really know. My deadline's like 60 days. And so Junior, I get a call, and this lady's like, hey, this is so-and-so, Junior Bridgeman's secretary. He would love to come out and, see your facility, see your programs in action. And I'm like, first of all, I couldn't, like that whole article about Forbes, and he was one of 5 black billionaires in the U.S., like that had just came out.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And it was all kind of surreal. And so anyway, they were like, have your financial stuff ready and everything. So him and his financial guy show up to Delta. And the first thing he's like, where are the kids? Like 1:45. And I said, they're back at school. It's August. He was expecting summer camp to be going on. If you don't got kids yourself,
you're like,
out of touch. Like,
Yeah.
I thought kids. So anyway, guy ends up going through my stuff, and he leaves, and he's like, you mind if I hang out? And here I'm having this conversation with this newly anointed billionaire.
Yeah.
Like we're talking,
Yeah.
And so we were having this talk, and he was like, I'm going to hang out until the kids get here. And the kids came, and he asked some of them questions, and he's like, walk me to my car. And I walked him out. He was like, how much do you need? And I said, $250. And he said, done. And he shook my hand, and he passed away like 2 months later.
That's insane.
And it's like just God works in mysterious ways,
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I think like it was, I don't know where our kids would have gone. Like I have no clue. Like Neighborhood House is a great organization that's right down there by us. They're full, their capacity. A lot of the other ones that were there when I started, they've went the other way. They've become preschools, things like that. But as far as like kids being able to come to you when the violence happens, which is off the bus stop in summertime, kids being able to come to you there, like we were on the last one standing, And I'm grateful to say that he saw that, and we purchased our building. And so then I had this huge place, and Delta needs like 4 classrooms, a gym, and a kitchen. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And now I have 30 classrooms. So it's crazy. So the whole time, and this is where I'll give Gil a ton of credit, as it became more and more realistic that we might buy this thing, I told him my vision was what I told him before. I said, I want to make this an opportunity center for West Louisville. Okay, if you're not into what Delta's doing, music's here, art's here, financial literacy, all these different things. And so I was able to recruit tenants the whole time I was raising the money, and they would pay him. And then as soon as we switched over, they become our tenants. So by the time I took over the Delta Center, we had like 9 other nonprofits,
That's
and,
awesome.
and I know we've talked about this. We got a food and clothing bank that's called PACT, Portland Avenue Community Trust. I watched them like have 20 people a day when it was just food. And then when they switched to clothing and food, like now there's like 70 people that come there every Thursday. It's wrapped around the building. I got somebody who teaches our kids culinary, business. And the coolest thing of it is, like, if you want to try something, Delta always has kids on site. So, like, the lady that does culinary, she's like, I want to do cooking classes. And, okay, all right, we immediately had 15 kids signed up.
Yeah.
And we could try it out right there. So where we're at now, not only does Delta like have its forever home, but at the same time, we have 9 other nonprofits on site, 11 total tenants, but 9 that fit the mission.
Wow.
So the only thing I really am looking for still is music. Of all the things I put out there, like that I wanted on campus, music's the only one I don't have yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like, I didn't know about the billion. What was his name?
Gil Holland.
No, the billionaire.
Oh, Junior Bridgeman.
Okay.
So Junior Bridgeman, are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
No.
So can I take a
I'm just like, I still
Yeah,
have
yeah.
like kind of chills over the fact that he just
So
like
first
died.
of all, Google him.
All right.
Junior Bridgeman.
Jamie,
from
pull that
Gary,
up. No,
Indiana.
I'm kidding.
Okay, right. That's funny. So he's from Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
Played basketball at the University of Louisville.
All right.
Played in the NBA, but this is like that late 70s when the NBA wasn't really making no money. Anyway, he bought a Wendy's, and he started this thing where he was going to take over the worst Wendy's in the country. And be like Memphis. Gary is where he bought his first Wendy's.
Yeah, I bet.
So then he starts going other places. And his thing was like he would buy these franchises, and then he would work there like 6 weeks to show, hey, I'm getting my hands dirty. Like this can work. And so anyway, before you knew it, he owned like 150 Wendy's. And then he grew, and then he bought into Coca-Cola. He actually, at his death, I think it was kind of a project piece, but he owned Sports Illustrated and Ebony and Jet magazine. And so anyway, this guy became a millionaire. So when I went to his funeral, like Chauncey Billups gave the eulogy, Shaq spoke on the big screen. But anyway, this guy's from here. And, he's kind of like one of them people that everybody's like, if you could ever get to Junior, well, he was on Jay Grant Brown's board. So he heard like my story. I didn't know I was talking to him. I knew who he was, but I didn't know. And so, just the most humble person ever. I don't know the full story, but I had actually called him probably like 2 weeks before he passed. And he was playing golf with Justin Thomas that plays on the PGA Tour. He was playing golf with him, like it's his guy. And anyway, he was like, I'll be in Louisville 2 weeks from now. And he went to give a speech at the Galt House, and he passed. Like, he was in great health. It was all kind of, I don't know the full story, but kind of messed up situation. But yeah, like, people don't realize, like, how many, his thing was, like, getting athletes. Like, you got to be better with your money, and, like, he did that. And so, anyway, look him up, Junior Bridgeman.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, when you bought the building, we were already working together, right? Yeah, because I remember when you closed on it.
Yeah.
And so, when he came to visit you, were we working together then at that point?
Yeah, we were. We just started.
Was it? I'm going to ask a self-serving question.
Yeah.
If we had just started, were we far enough along that you were starting to get useful financials?
Yeah, no, seriously. No, like, and that was, because, one of my things before hiring was like, man, I need stuff on time sometimes. Like, I need things that, that hey, they need this tomorrow. So, no, I had all of it. His financial guy looked through my financials, like, fine tooth comb, like, just, and everything. But it was like, once he gave him the okay, like, I could tell Junior believed in the mission. And so once that was okay, because he left, and then Junior stayed, but that was huge, for us in general, man. And I know I've talked about her to you before. I have an amazing grant writer. She is like, I wish she won't take a bonus. She won't take anything. Her name is Summer, but she's really helped us tell our story. And sometimes because of the logo and everything else, sometimes it is tough because people are like, oh, it's a sports program. We're a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So having that combination of, people to take care of financials, people to write grants, I can tell the story, but I'm not good at putting it on paper. So. I have a really good team, so we're grateful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you said you've got, well, I don't know if you have a wait list, but you said as soon as you guys send those emails out, it's like everything's booked in a day.
Yeah.
What exactly does like your summer camps or your after school program, what does that entail? And is that, do these programs at all include any of the other nonprofits that are in your building, or is that just like separate?
So they've started to. So,
Okay.
Our after-school program, you got to give us 30 minutes a day, reading and literacy or homework help. So if you don't have homework, which a lot of these kids don't nowadays, I can't stand it, but like they don't, then we test every kid's reading level, and we build a curriculum around each individual kid. Also, something we couldn't do if we had 100 kids, So, and then after that, if you're into sports, you go downstairs with sports. If you're not, then you go to one of our other programs, which include art, things like that. Every kid gets dinner through Dare to Care.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to say that we're making the meals. We're not. Dare to Care. And then, they go on their way. So summertime, I feel like summertime is where we really make a difference. So summertime, you got to do 90 minutes a day of reading and literacy. And then you get sports, basketball. Like some of the sports is a non-negotiable. In the summertime, after school program, if you're not into it, we'll work around it. In the summertime, you at least got to exercise. You got to do things. But we bring in enrichment providers for an hour a day. They do everything from culinary to art to everything. So they're with us 8:30 to 4. They get breakfast and they get lunch. They get a snack. And like that, summertime is where we really can get a lot done. We make our own schedule. I don't mind saying this, like, so JCPS the last few years is for the first time ever, I've been reimbursed per kid. Like I said, we're free. Wow. So they reimbursed me per kid. And then they also gave me 2 teachers, which is huge. Like they would pay them their teaching salary in the summer, you know, and they let me choose them. It was always somebody I knew already or that I taught with. So anyway, when the budget cuts happen, that's out the window. So we're back to just Delta, and I don't know if like invoices first. This and that. Like we've had to go get corporate sponsorships, things like that. We've been able to keep it free, but now like that freedom of scheduling. Like if I want to bring in a guest speaker, if I want to do it, like we have it. And so to answer your question about other people on campus, so in the after school program, we started a culinary group with the lady that runs the kitchen. And then, so one of the coolest ones, my number one recruit was ACE Project. And so I'm big on like job readiness stuff. Like I got a lot of kids, man, we're busting our butt to get them through middle school. Like college might not be an option. So let's teach you a trade. So with that being said, ACE Project, we had this wonderful wood shop in the back that had never been touched. And so, or not touched since Portland Christian left. And so anyway, I found out about them through Northeast Christian. And I said, man, I want you all here. They were my recruit. And so they said, would you mind blasting it out to like your families? So their first day of summer camp last year, which was their first month being a tenant, I walked in there and there was like 10 former Delta kids in there learning carpentry, drywall, painting. And that's something I look forward to growing. And with the culinary thing too, like we get a lot of talented kids, you know. And look, you become too cool you get a girlfriend, you get a job, you play sports. Kids stop going to after school programs and summer camps. It's just a thing. So if we can find a way to keep you down there, you know, that's a huge, I used to never have an answer to that question. When funders would be like, well, what happens between grades 9 and 12? I don't know, you know. To where now it's like, I'm not sure, but if their parent is willing to sign them up, then we have something on campus for everybody as they get older. And hopefully that leads to job placement, things like that.
Nice. This is not necessarily directly related to the nonprofit operations, but do other groups of people utilize your gymnasium?
Yeah, so that's a big revenue source for us. Pre us owning the building, that was guaranteed revenue. When I was a renter, I used to try to pay my rent every month off gym rentals. And so what I realized real quickly was there's a ton of elementary schools in West Louisville that don't have gyms. Now here's what blows a lot of people's mind. I got Catholic schools like Holy Spirit, stuff like that, because they got A, B, C, D, E basketball teams. They don't got gym time. So like I have Catholic schools that come from all over the city that rent the gym because it's a very nice space. And then we become like the West Louisville birthday destination. Like we got bouncy houses.
That's awesome.
We got like, you go in there tomorrow. We have a fashion show tomorrow. It is, if Delta is not doing something, it's rented. And that goes right back in the program. And that's something that's huge. I mean, when you talk about being able to keep it free, the revenue from not only that, but tenants is a major reason for that. But we've had weddings. Like I had a wedding last week, and it was a guy. So I guess he got married, got divorced, and she did the same thing, but they were dating in high school. And they went to Portland Christian together. And it was like a running joke, like, hey, if we were ever going to get married, we're going to get married at our old school. And like it happened, and I'm like, and they made it look as cute as possible. It's still a gym. You know, like you don't make it look, it's not the Homestead. You know? And so, but at the same time, like, it just, it let me know that like the word is out there and everything. So and we're reasonable. Gym practice times, they're at a premium. Like, so JCPS will not rent to, like, not, like, if I'm an AAU team, I can't rent at JCPS anymore. You got to be affiliated with the school. So when that happened, you got to think that narrowed the gym space down. So, like, we're in demand big time. So, yeah, it's good. But, yeah, that's something that as a nonprofit, you still got to make profit. Right?
Yeah, you still got to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I asked, so I'm still like, do people like play pickup there? Because
Absolutely.
yeah, because Simon,
Absolutely.
our team member, he like one time at this point, it was sometime last year, he was like, I think I was at Delta's building.
Yeah.
Because he loves to play pickup basketball.
I had a group. I always have talented kids come through there. Some were Delta kids, some weren't. But like, if you come in there on a morning, like 6 to 9 a.m., you never know who you're going to see. You might see an NBA player. You might see overseas player. Like a lot of people like working out there. It's a nice gym. I don't charge much and stuff. Anyway, I have a group of like small white guys from southern Indiana that played college ball. And if you look at them, you would never guess that. One day I had all these kids in there that are the top prospects. And they were like, hey, we need 4 more to play. And they let them play with them. And they tore them up. Like, it was so funny because I was just like looking. But like, I love that. Like, what we've done is we've almost kind of made a safe space, you know. We have off-street parking that's big. Not many places in West Louisville have that, but like, it's no longer like when I first started doing this, I would run into, I'm scared to bring my kid down there. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And then now I don't run into that. Like, people are comfortable, and I think it's security, but at the same time, just everybody knows what we stand for. And that neighborhood, you know, we got broken into a few times at the beginning. But now, like, I feel like that neighborhood really appreciates what we do, and we're kind of left alone.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. You become a part, like a really important part of their
community. I'm not
community.
from there. Like, and that's like, I'm from the Butyl, Fern Creek, Newburgh area. Like, I grew up in one of those areas at all time. And when I first got this gym, and I was like, okay, how do I get kids? Well, remember I told you about those 7 West End buses that we had at Meyers? They had kids by that point.
Yeah.
So I'm on Facebook. Coach Wes is having a free basketball and books camp. Bring them there. And like, that just led to, because I never anticipated Delta being in West Louisville. And God works in different ways. And now it's home.
Yeah.
You know, we're there. I never anticipated being a property owner, but here we are.
Are there, I'm sorry if we touched on this, but I don't remember. Are there any kind of requirements to be a part of one of your programs?
So you got to do one give back a year.
Okay.
So that's like Clean Up Portland Day, or we do like a toy giveaway, hoops and ham. We give out hams. So it's just to show the kids, hey, we give a lot to you. You need to see the value and give them back yourself. No, that's about it. I will say this, like, I got to be able to be in touch with you as a parent. Like, and a lot of my guardians are grandparents, you know, and they're amazing. Like, a lot of these kids, if grandma wouldn't have stepped up, they'd be in foster care, you know. So, with that being said, like, when you're talking about, like, are we going to, like, aggressively say, hey, sign up? Like, you're almost about to miss your deadline. Sign up. I need you to be involved as a parent. I need you to, if I say send me a picture of your kid's report card, I need you to send it, you know, because you're getting a lot from us for no cost.
Right.
Yeah, I went to, I actually think I told you about this. I went and shadowed a program in Memphis. It was called MAM. It's Memphis Athletic Ministries. If you looked at their website, like, you would think I built Delta off it. I didn't know they existed. Somebody told me. Now, they got to the point that the kids were so unruly that they were like, we can't get them to do the academic stuff. So they said, we're going to do Bible study, 20 minutes a day, whatever, and they completely kind of switched their mission. But it works for them. So I actually went and shadowed, because they've been around like 35 years. They're what I'm trying to be, you know?
Yeah.
And just like going there and seeing that, like, it really like it woke me up that, like, we're doing pretty good. Like, we're doing okay. Like, our kids, we get them in the classroom, even if at first they're hesitant.
Yeah.
They start to realize real quickly, no, you're not touching that basketball until, you know, but also it helps. We're family. Like we are a family. We have situations. I have a kid, like, I don't mind sharing a story, but it just kind of speaks to like where we're coming from. I had a kid so I got a call. I'm upstairs in the office and the kids are eating lunch. It's like 3 weeks ago. And we'll just fabricate some names here. Okay.
Yeah.
So they said, Justin just hit Casey. And I'm going, what? He's fifth grade and he's a first grader. Like, what do you mean you just hit him? Like, what's going on? Send him up here. So they sent him up there. And I said, what happened? And the first grader, Casey, said, well, I told him that I hoped his mom died. And the kid's mom had OD'd like a year ago. He had no clue about that. No clue at all, And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I said, listen. I said, look, his mom, I said, go ahead and tell him. And the kid said, my mom is dead. And you could see the look on the kid's face, like, oh my God, like I just said that. Like, I didn't know. I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to hurt feelings, whatever. The same kid, that first grader that said that, his mom was shot and killed last Saturday. Literally 2 weeks after I had this conversation. And it just, I'm sitting there like, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, it just like, no. Look, I wanted him to feel bad for saying that.
Yeah, but that's not the kind of irony fit for a kid.
Type of lesson.
Yes, absolutely.
But it just really made me realize, like, what our kids go through, because they are fairly well behaved with us. They are grateful for the most part. And I just, like, all that started was because I said, let's do Mother's Day cards. And I should have thought that through a little more besides doing that project, because we had a lot of kids that don't. So at the last minute, I'm like, okay, Granny, aunt, whoever,
absolutely,
like, whoever the woman in your life is,
who's mothering you.
But that's what led to that original, conflict, and then like for that to happen, and it just like it made me realize like it's crazy, like the amount of stuff our kids go through and they see, and I don't think people realize like how many of these people like it's drugs, like it's like they're just dying at a young age, and thank God that there's people to stand up and say, hey, I'll take him, I'll take her into my house that already has 5 kids. I'm going to take them because they're my nephew. But then how much those families rely on us
to help out.
Becomes evident.
Yeah, that's like how, like, these kids need you, because it's so important, because they are, I mean, the stuff that they are going through, and I experienced that too when I was in Troy Park. It's just, it breaks your heart, because you're like, it's one thing to be an adult and go through like a really hard and grief, but to be a child and to go through that, but not even always understand like how you feel, what you're going through. And so programs like Delta are just like, they're so important because of what they do. And then also just that you're, like you said, some of these kids might not be able to go to college or play a sport when they're older, but you're bringing in, these other nonprofits and these other organizations to help foster. Maybe you like this, maybe you're interested in this trade, or, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
and you said earlier, like, if you guys went away because of not being able to buy the building or anything else, you don't know where these kids would go.
Yeah.
The reality is you're not a cog in a machine. There's no one, there's not going to be someone else that just turns on a light switch and says, just come on over here.
Yeah.
So,
especially now when there's not grant money out there, there's not, whether it was opportunistic or not, like I witnessed a lot of nonprofits start up during COVID, and there was a lot of money out here.
Yeah, there was.
A lot of them aren't standing anymore, and that's why, I'd rather be reading. That's why there's a number of us that, one, I'm glad we weathered the storm. But I'm like, dang, like you had a staff of 15, and in order to keep the mission, now it's down to 5, but we're the last one standing. And it's not easy. Like, it's not easy. People ask all the time, like, how much we were affected by, like, the federal grants and everything. I was actually more affected by, like, Yum leaving town. And people don't realize, like, UPS and Humana, when I first got into this, they were big givers. But now Humana has more employees in D.C., Virginia than they do in Louisville. UPS now splits all their nonprofit giving. Well, they don't give anything right now, but when they are, is they split between Atlanta and Louisville. So like the few people that we could count on, now there's no guarantees, you know. So you really you got to figure out a way.
Is there has there been any opportunities with Louisville FC, Louisville Kings?
Tickets, things like that so far, but not financially.
Not financially, no direct
and
involvement.
I'll tell you what, like I could probably do a better job, honestly, because some of that is they want to build a relationship of I'll bring your kids to our camps and then we'll give. You know, I've tried to do good at doing this with funders. Like, hey, you've done enough. I'm grateful. Do you know anybody in your circle who's passionate about education, passionate about West Louisville, passionate about sports? If so, get me in the room. And that's been kind of the way of fundraising lately, is just kind of using it. And I've met some people that I didn't know existed, you know, because it's just, it's not like it's not easy. We can show you. So and I don't mind if somebody steals the idea or whatever. I think other people have done it before.
Yeah.
I think the way we're going to try to go in the future is, here's what it would cost a kid to come to Hoops and Homework for a whole year, and then books and basketball summer camp. So if that kid is in both programs, meals, schools, like all this, here's what it would. It's around, I would say it's around 3,000 students. It's actually closer to 5. Especially if you look at daycare cost, or if anybody's familiar with what the Y charges for after school care and all that, it's probably way more than that. But to be realistic with resources we have coming in, it would be 3 and 3,000. So like we might have to go that way of saying, hey, we need to find sponsors for each kid.
Sponsor a child,
and then in turn, I've heard people complain like, hey, I was in this program, I mentored a kid, and they couldn't show me their grades. They couldn't show me this and that. We have all that. So if you really desire to see all that, you know, it's there. You know, so that might just have to be the way we go. I don't find it. People ask me all the time, like, your kids can't pay $50 a week. I'm like,
probably not.
Maybe some, but a lot of those same families have like 3 kids.
I was going to say, if you have more than one child.
If a grandma's taking care of 5 cousins, not really, no.
So.
One random idea that I know you utilize a lot of volunteers, so this wouldn't be the most revolutionary idea. But there's a Catholic like college mission group that tries to just like evangelize campuses. And I was told how one of the key ways that they fundraise is they get they will like utilize recent college grads and have them live near or on campus for all of this. And they will have them do their own fundraising to where they'll try and get a whole variety of small donors that are dedicated towards paying essentially their salary. So I don't know. There's just I think,
is that happening locally or?
I don't know. Does Focus have missionaries here in Louisville?
Oh, I actually don't know. They're all over the U.S.
Yeah, they're all over the U.S.
Speaking of Catholic stuff, are you all familiar with Community Catholic?
No. What's Community Catholic?
So Community Catholic, and you should bring them on your podcast. It's a group of priests that were at West Louisville Catholic churches. Now there's like 2 left. There used to be like 10.
Wow.
And they shut them down. And those schools haven't been schools since like the 80s.
Right.
But the churches were still churches up until like 5-6 years ago. So anyway, their thing was that like you got to hold all West Louisville's being forgot about, like when it comes to attending a Catholic school, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, if you play your cards right and your kid is doing well, excelling, they don't got to get straight A's or anything, but attendance is good, behavior is good, you're trying in school, I think you got to show up to a meeting like once a month. Now they allow their kids to either do tutoring with them or at Delta. So like some kids will just go there, but they don't got a gym or any of the other stuff. Some of the kids need what we offer better. So anyway, with that being said, they'll pay full tuition for you to go K through 12 to think there's 7 Catholic grade schools, and the high schools
Wow.
are like Sales, Holy Cross, Mercy, Perez, and maybe Assumption.
Yeah.
And so, but if you play your cards right, you go for 12 years. Now,
Wow.
I started to abuse it. Like every kid I would have as a problem, like that would, mom would be like, he's being bullied. I'd be like, listen, Catholic Charities, I got one. And they're like, you can't send us no more kids. Like there's a cap to it. There's a cap, but
Yeah.
it's really a really cool nonprofit that nobody knows about.
Wow.
I think they serve somewhere around 100 kids a year, but they
Very
pay their
cool.
full tuition.
Full tuition. Which-
And it makes Catholic schools more diverse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of benefits to it.
yeah.
But yeah, they're cool, and they're right there in Portland by us. Yeah, but not a lot of people
Very
know.
cool.
So
Well, for what it's worth, and this is also going to have its limits.
yeah,
But if someone is able to make the drive, I would say both of my clients that are independent Catholic schools, so they're not part of the larger diocesan
our
structure.
churches, yeah.
Holy Angels on Old Henry Road and Immaculata on Zorn Avenue.
Old
They're
St.
both,
Yes,
yep,
yeah.
Old St. Yep. They both are. If somebody really wants to go to their school, I find that they will
They'll
try
make it
to.
work.
They'll try and make it work.
So I think Nativity and St. James and the Highlands also fit that model.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
also going to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's which it's good. It
Yeah.
really is. It's good. And look, somebody's always going to abuse it for sports and things
Yeah.
like it. Like there's no way.
The Holy Angels or Immaculata,
Right,
they're still partnering with homeschoolers. They're
Right,
so
right.
small,
Just
so-
have a team.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good. We've had a lot of kids be able to go that route. So
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome.
yeah.
That actually was one of the things that Holy Angels is, not to divert, but they're currently fundraising to build
To build a
gym and stuff.
A
And one of the big
multipurpose
things
building.
is because they're like, we can rent it out. Not even just that, but also soccer fields. Apparently there is a massive shortage of soccer fields here.
crazy.
And so they're like, we
Makes
have
sense.
people all the time that are just like, we can't find a
Yeah.
place for our team to play. And so,
Yeah.
I think but when you mentioned that that's a big revenue source for Delta, I'm like, yeah, apparently it's a thing
And
here.
I was blown away when Holy Spirit C team was playing. I was like, people be like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, 7:30 to 9. I swear they'll be here." So, but
Oh, that's awesome.
It is.
Well, then from here, you don't want to grow it to be some giant institution that's more, where most of the money's going to administration or whatever.
Right.
But do you have thoughts on what the future of Delta is? Or is it just
So-
one day at a time?
So we got a big grant to expand in Newburgh.
Yeah?
About 3 years ago. And first of all, I realized how quickly it was, how hard it was to find a gym. And I needed a gym and I needed a classroom. And I was turned down by some places. I mean, there was only like 4 candidates that had gyms in the whole zip code, right? And they were real strict. They were like, it was Impact 100, which is a great organization, but they wanted me in that zip code specifically. And so anyway, we ended up being in the Boys and Girls Club. And it went great. And we had like 30 kids in our program. They gave us our own classroom and half the gym. I couldn't ask for anything more. And we went to year 2. And I got a call like a week before school started. And the guy was like, "Hey, listen, I'm resigning. This is the director." He's like, it's not working out. Here's the new director's number. And I called this lady, and she was like, "No disrespect, but like I'm from Detroit. I was brought here to clean up a mess. I don't know who Delta is. I don't know who you are." And she was like, "We're not bringing any vendors in here until we clean house." So I got to respect it. But then I have to make the call of, you gave me $150,000 to bring this program out here,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to be able to, have to carry my end of the bargain. And it was one of these lessons, like one, it's great to call the shots and be able to make decisions and have your own program and your own space.
Yeah.
It really let me know how hard it is when you're at someone else's mercy, So with that being said, I don't really desire to expand anymore. That was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
If it was the right situation, I'd be open to it. I think for us, just continuing to embrace and bring attention to what we do and grow it right there on that campus.
Yeah.
There's a magazine, the Voice Tribune.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a nonprofit issue, and we got invited to be part of the issue, and then they came down there and they fell in love with the place, and they were like, you are the nonprofit issue. And so anyway,
Nice.
it really let me know something. Like, first of all, we got like a $20,000 anonymous donation. I've never gotten an anonymous donation, period, much less $20K. It had this random just volunteers out of nowhere. All these people want to volunteer. And it really, I'm like, what is happening? And it all came from like that magazine that people are picking up at Laure or, some restaurant on Frankfurt Avenue. It's glossy, it's pretty, And so anyway, but it really let me know how West Louisville based we are. Like our kids are West Louisville, our families, our supporters, all that is West Louisville. So how do I start getting this out here to everybody? Because you got a whole group of people that have never met me. They've never set foot down there. They pick up a magazine in a bar or a restaurant, and then all of a sudden they feel that compelled, to donate and offer to volunteer. So I really feel like we need to do a better job of getting out there to the rest of the city.
Yeah.
I do. I have Northeast Christian's my church partner. I was very leery about a church partner because I had some situations where I felt like people were trying to take it over, and they are like, you're doing the ministry anyway. Like, we're not going to try to turn books and basketball into Bible and basketball. We see what you're doing. But like, that's kind of been a way to get out to other parts of the city. I think what we need to do a better job of is bringing attention to the amazing things we have going on. The main battle is keeping this thing free. And then if this campus thing, like so far everybody's been like egoless. Like nobody's, you got to think like of those 9 nonprofits, we're all going for the same funds. Right now everybody's been sharing resources. I want to say everybody's funding has increased since, because it means a lot to say, hey, you don't got to meet me at Starbucks. Like we can meet at my room, and some of these rooms look amazing. Like if you sign a year lease, you can paint, you can do whatever you want to it. So I think really just increasing what we have going on, but also bringing attention. Like I look at it sometimes and I'm like, I don't think many people know like that we have a full opportunity campus down there and it's independently owned.
Right.
So, just kind of bringing new, but as far as numbers and expansion, I'm kind of happy like where we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a huge reach. I think the most views on any episode is like 200.
Yeah, it's fine.
But at the end of the day, it is like I do this.
Exactly.
You never know who's listening, and at the end of the day, like the idea behind this is really just to give my clients a spotlight, because I feel like things grow, and being for profit, it is the part of our goals is to grow.
Yeah.
But my only professional work before just running my own business was working in a family office.
Yeah.
And I use possessive language when talking about my clients. Like, I'm like, yeah, we're trying to get this grant, or we had such a great quarter. And it's like, I identify with my clients, and I want the world, or at least somebody to see you guys.
I've been through my share of bookkeepers. So no, it is. I threw that out there to a couple of people, but I would rather be reading, was like, no, you need to do it and everything. So we're grateful, because it does, like, sometimes you don't want some little thing to trip you up.
Yeah.
Notice that like we got our first bank grant, a substantial bank grant recently, and the stuff they were asking for was crazy. I remember I was telling you, I'm like, is this the same thing as a profit loss? Their wording and everything, and I'm like, it's going to become more and more like this, because people are like, we're not going to give this money to somebody we're taking a chance on. We're giving it to somebody that has it all lined up, So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
all right. We good?
Yeah.
Thank